Hi there, welcome to Real Life on the Homestead in Ontario. I'm Marie, and chicks are about to hatch, and I need to get the brooder set up. And I just want to show you how I set up my brooder. I know some people use linings of newspaper, and I did the very first year I was brooding chicks, and I noticed that that slimy poop on newspaper creates a very slick footing for them, and that's not what we want. We don't want them to end up with, split legs. So what I've done is I've put shavings down, but I don't want them eating the shavings. So then I lined on top of the shavings with white paper towel, no print on it. So all I'm doing right now is I am almost like making wine. I am stamping down on my pine shavings. I get these from a local mill, so there is nothing added to them. It's just for furniture, and they're shaving them off. So you know what I'm doing? I'm using them for my chick brooder. And just stamping this. I actually want to show you exactly how I've set this up. Okay, now get out of here. Cut up my paper towel in these lengths. I've just got them sitting there because I've already finished this one. I've got about 50 chicks ready to hatch. So they'll hatch tomorrow. 1 day old, I will put them in these brooders. So you see how I've layered the paper towel in long sheets, and I've overlapped them in a way that the chicks won't get into the shavings because, they try to dig at things. And then I have my heat lamp, thermometer, and I'm keeping track of the temperature. 114 is way too hot, so I know that I have to raise this lamp. And what I'm going to do is raise the lamp to, so it reads about 100 degrees. And the reason I do that is if the chicks are cold, they will huddle under the light. If they're feeling warm, they'll go off to the sides. And I'll put the food in the water just around the heat lamp. So if they are cold, they don't have to venture out to a cold area to get some food and water. But this one's set up. I'm gonna do this. And do you notice how fancy my brooders are? Not at all. They are water totes. From our water totes, I took the plastic out, split it into two, and that way I have two brooders. This easily could fit 50 chicks in one at the beginning, and then you can split them into two. I think I'll do 25 in each just to give them as much room as possible, and that way I'm not moving them more than I have to. Let me show you the tote I'm speaking of in case you're not familiar with these. This is the water tote I'm speaking of. I have this one here for water catchment, so I'm using this one. But for the ones I didn't need to use for water, what I've done is taken out the white plastic part, made those my brooders, and with the metal frame, what we've done, we've just cut this section here, which gives us access, and this is where we stockpile our firewood. So as we cut the logs and split them, we place them in here, easily put the forks of the tractor in there, and lift the whole set and move it to our firewood shed. So this is how we ended up with a water encatchment, a firewood crate with easy access, as well as chick brooders. This is the no waste method of doing things. Now, I do have a video on how I set up my chicks on my playlist. However, you know what? Some people haven't seen it. So what I'll do is once they've hatched and I'm moving them into the brooder, I will show you exactly how I make them comfortable and how they'll live for, I'd say, about 2 weeks, and then I'll move them into some more area before they go outside, because I don't put my chicks out until they're at least 3 weeks old, and I really watch the weather. Now, like I said, the heat is way too high for the chicks at this point. So I'm gonna raise my lamp. The way I do it is I use just a simple S hook, and I just move it up on my, just a few notches. And I do play with this. This is why I like the S hook. It's very simple. It's even easier when you're not holding a camera. And then I will read the temperature in a little bit and see what temperature this is at. To ensure that my power doesn't go out and my chicks get cold and die, what I do is I use this battery bank. Where is it? It's called Cyber Power. And what it does is it has a battery support and surge protector. So what I'm doing is, number one, my lights won't blow up, which is good, protecting from the surges, but this does have a battery backup. I have had this one for a few years, and it's worked really well. So what I'm gonna do is I will link this below in case you're interested in getting something similar. I also use this in the house to protect the computers and the internet router, because what happens is if the power goes out, I have battery backup enough time to go over to the computers and then shut them down properly so that I don't burn anything out or damage any of the hardware. Also, our internet, if there's a power, glitch, I don't have to worry about the internet going off and I have to reset everything. Makes life a lot easier. So I recommend having a few of these in the house. They're not cheap, but they last a long time and they save your equipment, which is what's important. Now I've got this one at 100 degrees, so I'm going to lower it a notch. For my watering equipment, I'm not using this one obviously because it's pretty rusty, so I've got to put this in some vinegar and baking soda and clean that up. But I did have a couple of clean ones and I have them in the house to disinfect. I place a 1.5 liter mason jar on this. I don't use the little plastic containers that come with these. I prefer to use glass. So those are in the dishwasher under the disinfect cycle because I want to make sure everything is super clean for the chicks. I don't use these feeders when they're very young because the little critters can get in there and get stuck. So what I do is I just use some egg cartons, and I'll show you that as well. Now what I like to do is I use these 18 egg cartons. If I can get those long flats that a lot of people use, I grab those, but I don't have any. So what I do is I take the 18 pack, I rip off this edge and I rip off the lid, and I fill these little sections with the chick feed. And this is perfect to get them going. Now, one thing I do that is my own thing, and I find it really gives them a lot of energy, is I have some freeze-dried egg yolks. So what I do is I put some mixed in with their feed, and then they're getting that nutrition from the egg yolk that they're so accustomed to getting, and they thrive. So that's my little secret to share with you. So I will just place some of these all over in the brooders so that they can help themselves to their feed. And no, I waste nothing. This is the perfect fire starter. And you know what? I'm not doing fires in the house anymore. So this will be to start the fire in the pizza oven. No, this will not stay in there. Those are my waterproof matches. But that's a great starter for the fire in the pizza oven. And yes, join me over the summer. I'll teach you how to make the best pizza dough and cook in a wood-fired oven. So my little feeders are going inside so that they are ready for some feed. The thermometer is right in the center and it is reading 103, which is perfect. There is tons of room for them to get away from the heat if they find that too warm, but this is perfection. I will get some waters that I'll put in here, and that's it. We're ready. When the chickies are ready, I'll show you the next step. When the chicks are ready, I'll show you how I place them in there. Introduce them to water. they find the food on their own. It's the water that I want them to find right away. And I do put a sprinkle of electrolytes for the first week, just to make sure they're doing their very best. I left the lamps on overnight just because it was going to get cool. And as you see, the temperature's 96. This is perfect because what we want is the temperature to be anywhere from 90 to 95 right at the center where they can cuddle. And every week we're going to lower that temperature, which means raising the lamp a little bit. We're going to lower the temperature by about 5 degrees to acclimatize the chicks to the outdoor temperature. Now you need to monitor what are the outside temperatures like and how damp is it, because that all affects the temperatures. Just going to come over here and see this one. This one is at 103. So this one's a much hotter lamp. So I'm going to have to raise that lamp a bit to cool it off, because that's a bit too high. I like to have it around 98 to 100 right in the center. So this one here is a little bit cooler, but it's closer to the outside walls. So you really have to monitor your area and use common sense. But the chicks are so smart, they will know to cuddle in the middle if they're cold and disperse out to the sides if they're hot. A sign that spring is finally coming. Another sign of spring. Wild leeks, also known as ramps, are coming up. These are amazing. I just get these electrolytes from my local feed shop, and I put it in a mason jar because I find that you use so little. And let me put my camera down and show you how much I'm putting into the water. Now I use the tip of a spoon, I would say pretty much probably 1/8. And I'm putting this in a 1.5 liter mason jar. And I do that for all of them. There's no need to put lots of this in. And I only do this for the first week that the chicks are out, because I just want them to have the electrolytes, but I don't stress over putting lots. And I use, like I said, my mason jars. I'm gonna add in the water so it mixes. Maybe I should move the electrolytes so I don't get them wet. Just gonna top up all my jars. See how the color starts to change in them? It will get a light tinge of yellow. And we're gonna get these into the brooder. There we are, we're all set up for when those chicks get in here. And the reason I put the water in the day before is I want it to pretty much be at the same temperature as their ambient temperature, because I don't want them drinking ice cold water. So here it is. I've got 2.5 liter bottles of water, the mason jars, and 3 feeding trays. And now as the chicks hatch, when they're 1 day old, I will be introducing them to the water and placing them in their home for the next few weeks. Now all I'm doing is adding my non-GMO chick starter. All I'm doing is adding my non-GMO chick starter, it's not medicated, into these egg trays. This way they can access them, and especially when they're little, they're still learning how to do things, so I don't want to make it hard for them to access. Okay, so the feed is in the trays, and as you can see, I've just placed a bit of feed all over just so that they can get acclimatized. And as you can see, the feed is in the trays. Excuse the light, because when you're dealing with a red light, video isn't the best. But I put a little bit of the feed all over the ground just so that they can find it easily. And then I get my one day old little chick. Say hi, guys. And all I'm gonna do is introduce it to the water by sticking its beak in there. And then I watch for it to actually drink. And now I let it go. See how it went right for the drink? It's because it's thirsty. And that's it. Now I'm gonna do all the rest and show you what's going on right after that. And look at this. They're at their water when they need to be. They are running around and finding their food, no issues. And everything is good. And I have had some questions of why I use the plastic totes as my brooder rather than wood or cardboard. Reason is I can hose these down, disinfect them, and know that there is absolutely no bacteria in here for my chicks. So when they're young, it prevents them from getting anything that they're not accustomed to. And I never change out the paper towel or the shavings while they're in here. What I do is just keep layering more and more paper towel on top. Take the whole tote to the compost, dump it, disinfect it, and get ready for the next round. Aren't they just doing so well? Well, this one is complete, 25 in here. I'm gonna see how many I get into the next brooder. There we go, my friends. 51 chicks ready to grow. And these will be our meat birds. I don't know if I'll do another batch this year. If 51 will be enough, I'll see how many success, if I lose any along the way. But I don't normally lose any, except last year. Had a raccoon get into the coop and killed 30 in one night, which was devastating. Had lots of dog food, but very devastating. So we have shored up everything that nobody can get in this year. If you like this type of content and you want to see what we're doing on the homestead, please make sure to like, subscribe, share with your friends who might learn something from our experiences. I signed off from the video yesterday, but guess what? Overnight, it was okay. I checked the chicks this morning. They were fine. And then the temperature dropped drastically. We're getting snow right now. They're calling for 20 degrees 2 days from now, and at night, -2. That crazy weather is when you have to adjust. Keep your eye on your chicks. Make sure that they're comfortable. I came into the barn, and they were huddled together, so they were keeping each other warm. But I thought, nah, gotta update my setup. So what I did is I moved them from the 2 different brooder boxes into one, and let me show you what else I did. So this brooder box got emptied out. I moved them all into one. So as you can see, they're comfortable in there. I also put both heat lamps on the same brooder. And then I covered the top with some cardboard, just enough for the heat to get in, not touching so that there's no risk of fire. And I put some wood to make sure that the cardboard doesn't fall in. And then I'm keeping an eye on the temperature. It's now climbing. It's up to 82 on this one and 78 on this one. It was quite cool, and they were all huddled together under the lamp. As I said, they do try to, make themselves comfortable. And in there, I don't know if you can see it, that's a cozy heater. I will link that below. That's a really great item to have on the homestead, because if you need quick, close heat without taking any chances of burning your animals, these are fantastic. They can lean right up against it and be warm. And of course, I have everything plugged into my backup because I do not want these little guys getting cold. But like I said, this is how you sometimes have to adjust. Make it work. Use what you have. They're now comfortable. They're eating, they're drinking, and they're moving around comfortably. So I know that they're safe.